All right, what do we got now? Halo?
Yeah, Halo, Season 2, Episode 6. So,
Yes.
again, we'll give our initial thoughts and then we'll give a warning before the spoilers. So, I'll go ahead and give my score first on this one. Episode 6. So, I thought this was a decent episode. It definitely had some weird things going on, and I feel like the writing, it kind of was like they had to write certain things in just to get where they wanted. And so, some things like kind of didn't make sense, and I'll expand on that in the spoilers. But I still think it was a decent episode. There were some cool action scenes. It wasn't my favorite, but I think I was teetering between a 6 and a 7 on this episode. And I think for some of the stuff they're setting up, I'll give it a 7 for some of the action and some of the setup. But there were some things that if there weren't cool scenes in this, it could have dropped it a lot more. So
I was going back and forth, but the more I thought about this, to me, this episode was so average. I would give this a 5. There's some things that I'm like, why? And I'll explain those in spoilers.
Yeah.
There's other things that they're trying to build up, and to me, it fell flat. And a character that I didn't like what they're doing with one of the characters, and just things I'm like, to me, it was a little disappointing, to be honest. I don't know, because I might have given last week's score, I don't remember if I gave it 6 or 5, but at least last week had some character moments. This week for me, it just fell flat. It was just a little disappointing and felt rushed. And there's certain things, like I'll explain in the spoilers, I didn't like. So I'd give it a 5. I'm still enjoying it, but I think this one was just average 5. I think last week and this week, I don't remember what I gave last week, but yeah, I think both these two episodes were a fall from the Reach episode.
yeah, it definitely was from the Reach episode. It still isn't reaching to season 1 lengths, but still
no. Season 1's like a 3, so like this is still like average to me.
Yeah. And after we talk about this, I may change mine to a 6, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I can justify my 7.
Okay.
But with that note, we're getting into spoilers now. So spoilers for Halo Season 2, Episode 6. So one thing I was excited about to see, and it's the way the episode started out, was we did get to see the Spartan 3s in training, which I was excited to see the Spartan 3s. They're kind of more like Spartan 4s from the game, but they're still incorporating some of the Spartan 3 stuff. So
even though we didn't actually get to see Elite because it was fogged up.
Yeah, that's true. I did like some of the combat tactics they were doing in the training and stuff, but we didn't really see.
It was cool. I liked it too, but I don't know if it's budget reasons or what.
Yeah, probably.
The thing I thought this was so stupid. So they just so happened to have the simulation right where John and them were taken. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did notice that.
That was the same exact hallway with the same exact explosion in the spot and everything. They just so happened to have that same spot with the explosion.
That was a little silly. The only thing, if I were to try and justify it, they have advanced technology and AI. They could ask, Kai could have asked, hey, give me a simulation of this part of the base after an attack or something. But yeah, it is kind of silily.
You need to be for marketing for people, because it was for saving budget. That's what it was for.
It was for saving budget. Yeah.
But hey, these writers and director, Caleb, wow, you were so right.
I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but you're right. It is budget reasons.
You're hired, Caleb. You're hired.
So I have a feeling the person you don't like what they're doing with is Kai, and I will probably agree with you, and we'll get into that. But I did like the part of the Kai storyline I did like is how much she regretted not being there on Reach, and her.
I did like that. It did show that, thankfully, yes. Yeah. I did like that. But for me, it was such a 180. It did not feel earned that she is this much not to believing John. Am I being crazy with that? Do you agree?
I agree. Yeah, that whole part of her not trusting him or kind of trusting him.
It doesn't feel earned. It should be way more intense than it actually was. When I was watching it, it didn't feel intense because it didn't feel real.
She's had a couple things. Her writing has been kind of back and forth throughout all of Halo, the show, where she's standing up for the Chief a lot and then fighting back against him and then standing up for him and then not believing him. And it's just pick who you trust.
Yeah, stop being indecisive. And then, of course, Zackerson's still trying to manipulate her. He's alive, but he's obviously working with McKee. So the other character, I actually wasn't, I didn't care. I'm kind of disappointed with what we're doing with her as Perez. Her character just seems in the last episode, she was almost reluctant to keep fighting. She seemed out of character. The last episode, she's you don't understand, you can't fight this. you can't train for this, and then now she's training for it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like with her, they rushed it. There should have been a moment where she was like grappling with that sadness and guilt of losing her family and not being there when that happened.
Yeah,
and
that's
like,
true.
And like, oh, I'm gonna fight back and not let this weigh me down. But we never saw that. It just opened on she's a Spartan 3 now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it went from her, and another thing too is did she not talk to Kai about like John? Like, oh yeah, I was with him most of the time. Like, he could still be alive.
True.
Like, did they not have like a conversation?
I guess
like I know
not.
she left, but like, hey, like right before I left, like John was still alive. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I didn't think about that. Those are the kind of things that I was talking about, and there's a big one where it feels like the writers don't justify their writing well enough. And the biggest one for me in this episode was, well, first of all, I did not like Kai fighting the chief and beating him up. That just seemed like a weird character choice. But then she just leaves him and nobody does anything for like minutes. What?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you have the chief there, and he's just in a locker room
alone. He just got beat up by a Spartan in armor, and you just leave him long enough that he can wake up? That seemed ridiculous to me. Okay, I'm changing mine to a 6.
You think they would have? Yeah, you're right though. You think they have guards out nearby? Or Acker said they were watching her.
Yeah,
like they were watching her in the camera.
Watched her leave and went, okay, we'll sit on that for a bit. Figure that out later. After he's already taken out a ton of Marines and shown that if you don't have a Spartan, you're screwed.
All the writers had to do was just have like Cortana lock all the security guards away or something.
True.
It's such simple things the writers could have done, and it would have like made sense. We wouldn't be talking about it. So the Kai stuff and the Perez stuff I was not a fan of. And the second thing, or the third thing, whatever you want to call it. So the chief and them, Juan and all them land, and then they all just like randomly split off and go different directions.
Yeah, in territory where like people are looking for them, and
Juan's like walking over a cliff and sees bad guys. Like, okay, she's gonna go back and warn everyone. No, chief and them are walking away, and then the wife and what's his name?
Soren.
Soren and his wife are like, oh no, we're going somewhere else. You can't go over there, crazy. And Miss Chief's like, find your son. Like, and then Halsey just randomly, no one saw her walk away. Apparently,
yeah.
I don't like. They got to this planet and like they just all like go separate. I just didn't get it.
The writing seems really inconsistent because some of the
like,
stuff they're like,
they could have just had a scene like right, like they all together. I get Halsey just walking away. I get her just walking away.
That fits her character, sure.
Like the other one's gonna have a scene like, hey, I'm gonna go scope out over here. Quan, you go this way, and Soren and them, you guys go this way. And then like they just get mixed up, and I don't get it. So that frustrated me. Well, not frustrated me, but I'm just like, really? And then lastly, I loved the stuff with the elites, like with the priest, the like priest elite or whatever.
I agree. That was one of the points I liked the most.
So what I didn't like about it is we're actually gonna have like some elite on elite action fights, but they just show McKee crawling and all we see is like legs of elites fighting. I wish we would have saw like more of that.
That's again budget stuff, I'm sure.
I know.
But yeah, seeing that elite priest, that was definitely something new that I hadn't seen and I was not expecting. But that was very interesting. And it seems like they're doing the stuff where the Covenant like split up into different factions. Seems like they're doing that earlier with the Arbiter. Which,
they are doing that pretty early because they haven't even reached the ring yet.
Right. I'm interested to see where they go with that.
I just wish they would show more of that. We're wasting so much time with Quan and Soren and his wife finding their son. Like all of this crap we don't need to watch.
I did not care about that at all.
We could be focusing on, and we could be watching like some Covenant politics, that's way more interesting. So I think that's why I gave it like a 5, like an average, because even though I'm enjoying it, there's so much just crap in little things the writers do stupidly.
I'm going to lower mine to a 6. The thing that brings it slightly above average. I did like the Covenant stuff, but I also really liked the Cortana stuff.
Yes, I agree.
Especially the ending. That ending where Cortana was just like leading him down a hallway and keeping him like safe from everything. Cool. That felt like Halo. If he had his armor and was doing that, that would be Halo. That's exactly what the game is.
It felt like Cortana and MasterChief, they already have like a relationship. That's what it feels like. They're building that trust, and I loved that too.
And
the Cortana stuff was interesting.
She is so overpowered. Like
oh god, yeah.
She just made that so easy for him. She's awesome.
And you were right. They had Cortana go with them to spy on them. Remember you mentioned that the last episode. Like the only reason they could make sense is if
good old Parandowski.
I don't. Everyone in the show I don't like. Well, like that's a character you're not supposed to. I like Ackerson more than I like her.
But I think that means that character's well done because you're not supposed to really like her. I was
gonna say not like in a bad way, but like in a good way. Like a good hate, not like a Quan hate.
Right.
And then like Quan running away, and she jumps in the well and gets down there and falls. Even Halsey's like, let's just skip this part.
Yeah, I know. That was the
you're
writers.
Gonna hate me, blah, blah. I know.
Yeah,
we've done this.
That was a pretty funny line.
Yeah, that was
so
great.
I did not care about Quan again. I did like that we saw Miranda finally.
Yeah, finally.
And her interactions with Halsey.
Of course, the first thing we see with Halsey, she gets mad. You're letting other people use my research.
Yeah.
Like, lady.
Yeah. And then Miranda has the comeback of, yeah, it's a good thing we looked at it. Then I was able to find your mistake.
Yeah. Do you not know Keyes is dead?
That's a good question. And of course, that's not the first thing Halsey says. Like, that should be, but I have a theory, which I don't know if I like or not, but that lady that Quan keeps seeing, I have a feeling she is related somehow to the librarian. You remember the librarian from Halo 4?
Yes, I do. Yep.
So,
Forerunners?
Yeah. I have a feeling she's some kind of, I don't know, genetic thing that the librarian planted in certain people that will eventually bring them to the things that the librarian wanted to do.
Oh, you think Quan's is like a Forerunner storyline?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's with the well stuff and her family, her dad going to the well, and obviously Master Chief has some Forerunner gene stuff going on too, because he's able to handle the relic. So yeah, I think Quan's going to be involved in that, and I have a feeling the librarian's going to be the reason why, but that's just a theory. I don't know for sure.
Well, I've read other people's theories that she has something to do with Forerunners.
I was just like, what is the importance of this old lady? What could it be? And I was like, well, I guess it could be like a librarian thing, because she's kind of the person behind all of the stuff for planting genes in future races.
I don't know, man. I'm all for like getting that stuff, but why with Quan?
Yeah, I know.
Like, to be honest, all I want is just simple. I just want Chief and Cortana to get to the Halo ring.
I know.
That's all I want.
We're not going to get that till the last episode.
But I want it just to be them two. Like, I swear, and I think they're making McKee a way bigger thing, and she's going to be on the ring or something. McKee doesn't annoy me as a character, but I hope she's dead before they get to the Halo ring, because that changes it way too much for me.
Yeah, I kind of have a feeling she won't be, but maybe, especially with all the turmoil.
This isn't Halo right now. I'm excusing it, but the second you get on that ring and you start like trashing it, oh heck no, that's gonna draw the line. You get on that ring and like you have like McKee with him and all that, like that's not Halo. I mean, it's already not Halo, but at least like if we're kind of hoping, I think that's everyone's hope, right? Chief gets to the ring,
and then it feels like
with
Halo.
Cortana, and then it's almost like a little soft reboot type thing.
Fingers crossed.
But I think you're right. McKee is like just a bigger thing, and so is the reason the Halo ring exists even going to be the same as the game?
I hope so, but I don't know with this timeline.
And I swear they better have the Flood on Halo, man. You cannot have Halo without the Flood.
I agree. I wonder, maybe that's what they're saving the effects budget for.
We can hope.
I have a feeling that won't be till next season. We'll probably just get to the ring.
I don't think
McKee will die.
Anything, like they could do like it would be cool if like they ended on them getting to the ring, but then they'll do like a last second scene of like a mysterious type Flood, in the distance or something.
Okay, yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Like Chief and them don't see the Flood, but we just get like a little tease, because you can't be on this first ring. What ring is this?
Installation 04.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's that ring. But you can't be on that ring and not have the Flood, right? Like almost the whole purpose of the first game was you got to get off that freaking ring.
Blow it up somehow.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like the whole point, with the Forerunners were willing to freaking murder living life in the universe because of the freaking Flood.
They
so
have
like if
to
you don't have the Flood. So
one thing I'm interested to see is how the Arbiter and the Chief storyline is going to go, because at this point Chief
can't be friendly with each other.
Yeah, Chief hates the Arbiter now, like personally, not just because he's an elite. So that whole thing in the game where they team up to fight a bigger enemy is going to be harder to reconcile. So I'm interested to see if they go with that.
I was curious about that too, because the way they're setting it up, Chief or John, there's no way he would ever in his state right now, like even work with him to fight an enemy. That's the way they have it set up, right? He killed Venick. Like he wants to murder the Arbiter. Like
that's his main goal right now.
More so than I feel like anything.
Yeah.
But after all these complaints we've talked about and theories we don't like, I will say I still sat down and when I'm watching it, I enjoy it for what it is.
One other thing I enjoyed about this episode was I didn't like how Perez was thrown into the Spartan 3 program, but I did like her recognition of, after we do the spike, there's nothing. What is that? And then realizing that they don't expect them to get off the ship.
Yeah.
Whether the spike actually causes an explosion and kills everything, something, or they just expect them to be overwhelmed after they do it and there's no way off, or whatever. That was an interesting realization of like, oh man, they really don't care about these Spartan 3s. They're just cheaper Spartans.
Dude, even Kai goes to Ackerson. It's an interesting storyline. It feels so rushed.
It does, yeah.
There's no setup for it.
I did not expect them to all be in armor, which the armor looked kind of weird. So hopefully that's just the armor
prototype type thing.
Yeah, for the simulations, although they do kind of look like they have it here. So, I don't know.
If they would have built up Kai and Chief's relationship better and mistrust better, and if they would have, I don't know, they went straight from the fall of Reach to like showing us Spartans training. There's no setup in a sense or build up. I don't know. It just feels very rushed. Like they're trying to do too much too fast. They could have had Ackerson and Kai not in the rest of the season and just focus on Chief and Cortana getting back somehow and like get into the ring and like it would have been fine. I don't know. We'll see. How many we got? What, 2 episodes left? I think
2 episodes left. I don't have high hopes for the next one because the stuff with Soren felt like set up for the next episode, because pretty sure the next episode is called Thermopylae, and that's what he calls the place where his son is. So it'll probably be a lot about him getting his son back and what's going on there. Hopefully there's some good stuff with the Chief and Cortana trying to get to Halo also, but you never know.
You're right. It ended on like a decent cliffhanger, so they're gonna pause that for an episode.
Hopefully not, but maybe.
Because you're right, the Cortana stuff I liked. Like that, you're right. You're exactly right. That felt like Halo. I like that. And I liked the Covenant stuff, the little we got, at least.
I also liked John beating up regular humans. It was pretty brutal, but also really cool fight scenes. I feel like those were the best fight scenes in this episode. He just destroyed them. And how did they think they were going to hold a Spartan with just some ropes? And that did not seem like a good idea.
And on top of that, then he just like escaped and like went into hiding. Like there's no one.
Yeah, he's just
like an
around.
alarm or like other
weird.
Guards outside of that room or people watching him. I didn't get that.
Like you said before, that could have been totally explained by Cortana. She's like blacking out the security or, you know.
Yeah, she could have even said something. How do you think you made it this far without getting caught?
Yeah, literally. That's all they had to say.
Well, like I was thinking, I'm like, so he fought all these people. There's a camera like on him. There's no one outside the hallway and there's no alarms going off. Nothing. There's nothing going on. He's just walking away.
Yeah, that part I did not understand.
God, I want to make it a 4 after talking about this.
I think there were redeeming qualities. I'll stick with my 6. I won't give it a 7. I'll stick with the 6. But
I'll stick with the 5. But like I'm telling you, if next episode is only on Soren and them, I'm going to be harsh. I will tell you that.
I agree. If we don't see Chief, I feel like he has to get his armor with Cortana. That needs to be priority 1, getting him in his armor with Cortana. If they do that, that'll be good. If they just focus on Soren and don't show us the Chief, I'm going to be annoyed and not like it.
At first, I thought Cortana was going to lead him to his armor first.
Same, yeah.
I was like, oh, be the armor. And they open the artifact. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then catch it. But yeah, we'll see. But even if they do have both, it's still going to be like half an episode with Soren saving his kid that I don't care about.
I feel like the next 2 episodes are going to make or break this season. Reach was done well, but
for sure.
If the last 2 episodes are bad, this season could be a failure. But if it's good,
like
you know,
the first
it could be
4
a decent.
episodes were solid up to Reach. But if these last 2 plummet, man, this is another like 5 out of 10 season. It would be better in the first season still. Like first season, I think I gave it 3 out of 10.
Yeah,
like, blowout. It's trash. But like if these next 2 falter, it depends how bad. Like this is just speculating. It could be a 4 or 5 if it's bad.
True.
Or if it ends up like 2 good episodes, or the finale blows me away, you know, maybe it's 7-ish.
Sure.
8-ish.
Yeah.
8-ish is kind of high.
I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd put it up there with Masters of the Air. So comparing those 2, it's definitely not as good of a show. But
I'm still riding the high of that Reach episode because God, that was such a good episode. Not even just for a Halo show, just in general. That's the action. God, I love that episode. Why couldn't every episode be like that? Anyways, yeah, 5 out of 10. It was aight.
Yeah, 6 out of 10. It was aight.